Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Dr. Sadia. Today's topic of lecture is anatomy of the pharynx. So, objectives of the pharynx. We have to discuss the boundaries of the pharynx, subdivisions of pharynx and its features, structure of pharyngeal wall, muscles of the pharynx we'll discuss, blood supply, nerve supply of the pharynx, lymphatic drainage of the pharynx, and its applied anatomy. So, pharynx is a fibromuscular tube. It extends from the base of the skull at the level of pharyngeal tubercle as the occiput. It starts from the base of the skull and up to the C6 cervical 6 vertebrae. It is 12 to 14 centimeter long, and it ends at the lower border of the cricoid cartilage. Lower down, the pharynx, it continues with the esophagus. So this is a trachea. This is the esophagus, and the lower muscle, that is cricopharyngeus, and it is the part of uh, inferior pharyngeal constrictor. The cricopharyngeus is a part of the inferior pharyngeal constrictor. So it continues with the esophagus, and even it forms the upper esophageal sphincter for the esophagus. So this pharynx has a respiratory and digestive, is a passage for the respiratory and digestive tracts. The openings of the pharynx. This is the anterior wall of the pharynx. Actually, pharynx is missing in the anterior wall, and its walls are formed by. It is anteriorly. It has no walls, and by it is actually present posterolaterally. So we have cut these posterior margins, and these are the lateral margins of the pharynx, and these are the posterior openings of the nose, and these are the pharyngotympanic tubes which are opening into the lateral wall of the nasopharynx. So this is nasopharynx. It ends from this is the roof of the nasopharynx and up to the soft palate. So this is a soft palate, and this is the uvula of the soft palate, and these are the palatoglossal folds. So these palatoglossal folds on each side forms the oropharyngeal isthmus. It forms a boundary. It forms a boundary between the oral cavity and the pharynx. It forms a boundary between the oral cavity and the pharynx. So these are the palatoglossal arches on each side, and this is the uvula. These are the palatopharyngeal arches. So it is written here palatopharyngeal. These are the palatopharyngeal arches, and these are the palatoglossal arches, and form the oropharyngeal isthmus. So the between the palatoglossal and the palatopharyngeal arches, we have a palatine tonsils. So the pharynx is actually forms the posterolateral wall, and its anterior wall is missing. So this is the anterior wall, and it shows the many openings. So this is the root of the trunk. This root of the tongue shows the palatine tonsils. Lingual tonsils. These are the palatine tonsils between the palatoglossal and palatopharyngeal arches, and this is epiglottis. Okay, and this is the laryngeal inlet. Okay, this is the laryngeal inlet. These are on each side. These are the array epiglottic folds. These are the corniculate. This is the cuneiform cartilages. This is arytenoid. This bulging is due to the cricoid cartilage. Okay, this is lower down. The pharynx is continue with the esophagus. Okay, and the trachea. By the laryngeal inlet, it continues with the trachea, and the if the during the when the bolus comes out, the epiglottis closes the laryngeal inlet, and the bolus over the epiglottis enters into the esophagus. Okay? Otherwise, the air through the laryngeal inlet enters into the trachea. So this is the piriform fossas. The piriform fossas are formed medially by the array epiglottic folds and laterally by the thyroid cartilage. These actually the fossas or depression on each side of the laryngeal inlet. Basically, this is the site. Piriform fossas are the site where the fish spines and the small bones get stuck, and it is not easily removed, and mostly we have to take the patient to the ENT department, and they will remove endoscopically. So it is a surgical procedure if the bones are stuck here. That's why the piriform fossas has a clinical significance. And medially, the piriform fossas are bounded by the array epiglottic fold and laterally by the thyroid cartilage. So these are the smooth lateral walls and smooth posterior walls actually cut down to show the anterior openings. Okay. So it has a pharyngeal tonsils in the roof of the nose, nasopharynx. So these are the pharyngeal tonsils and palatine tonsils. Palatine tonsils in between the palatoglossal and palatopharyngeal arches. These are the palatine tonsils and the lingual tonsils. So these are the this is the root of the tongue and it contains the lingual tonsils and the tubal tonsils at the opening of the pharyngotympanic tube on each side. When it opens into the lateral wall of the pharynx, at the site of the opening, it has a tubal tonsil. So there are different tonsils present in the pharynx. So this is a bony skull. It shows the where it is the actual attachment of the. This is the pharyngeal tubercle as the basi occiput. Okay, these are the pharyngotympanic tube. Okay, the posterior wall is attached here over the pharyngeal tubercle and over the basi occiput, and the lateral walls over the petrotympanic part of the temporal bone. Petrotympanic part of the temporal bone. Here the lateral wall of the pharynx attached, and here the posterior wall of the pharynx attached. And from here, the pharyngobasilar fascia actually pharyngobasilar fascia is attached here over the pharyngeal tubercle, basi occiput, and over the petrous part of the temporal bone. And these are the pharyngotympanic tube which is entering into the pharyngobasilar fascia in its lateral wall. So these are the different parts of the pharynx. This is the nasopharynx, posterior to the nasal cavity and over the soft palate. So, and this is the pharyngeal isthmus. Isthmus is formed between the soft palate and the posterior pharyngeal wall. So it forms the opening which connects the nasopharynx to the oral cavity. Acha, nasopharynx can have this is pharyngotympanic tube. Here the pharyngeal tonsils are present. This bulging is called a salpingopharyngeal fold. This fold is due to the salpingopharyngeal muscle is covered by the this the mucosal fold covers the salpingopharyngeus muscle. This is a longitudinal muscle actually of the pharynx. Salpingopharynx pharyngeus. This is a longitudinal muscle arises from the pharyngotympanic tube. So this muscle salpingopharyngeus arises from the pharyngotympanic tube. This is a longitudinal muscle. This elevates the pharynx upward at the time of deglutition. And this palatopharyngeus, which is present, and another longitudinal muscle which is present in the posterior part of the hard palate, and it elevates the soft palate. So this pharyngeal isthmus will close and the bolus will the particles of the bolus will not go into the nasopharynx. So this is a salpingopharyngeal fold of mucous membrane covers the salpingopharyngeus muscle which arises from the pharyngotympanic tube. This is pharyngeal recess. Recess is a actually depression behind the salpingopharyngeal fold. These are the pharyngeal tonsils. These are the pharyngeal tonsils in the roof of the nasopharynx, and the roof is formed by the body of the sphenoid. Okay, this is the opening of the pharyngotympanic tube. Here the pharyngeal tonsils are present, and this is the pharyngeal isthmus formed by the posterior wall of the pharynx and the soft palate. When these two come together and closes this pharyngeal isthmus, so the food particles will not go into the nasopharynx. Acha, from the soft palate up to the epiglottis, this is the oropharynx. This is the tongue. This is the root of the tongue. It shows the lingual tonsils over the root of the tongue, and these are the palatoglossal folds and forms the oropharyngeal isthmus, and these are the palatopharyngeus fold. So these palatopharyngeus muscle is covered on the palatopharyngeal fold, and these are the palatoglossal folds. So it actually these in between the two folds, palatoglossal and palatopharyngeal, we have a palatine tonsils, and we have a lingual tonsils in the oropharynx. And from the soft palate up to the epiglottis, we have a oropharynx. And below the epiglottis, this is the laryngeal inlet. It is closed by the epiglottis right now, and this is the posterior wall. And whenever the bolus will come downward, this epiglottis covers the laryngeal inlet, so the bolus directly goes into the esophagus, will not enter into the laryngeal inlet, and causes the cough or different types of cough reflex. So below the epiglottis, we have a laryngopharynx. Between the soft palate and epiglottis, we have a oropharynx. And above the soft palate and behind the nasocavity, we have a nasopharynx. So we have a layers of the pharyngeal wall, mucosa, submucosa. We'll discuss pharyngobasilar fascia in detail right now. Longitudinal muscles. So we have three longitudinal muscles like salpingopharyngeus, stylopharyngeus, and palatopharyngeus. We'll discuss one by one in detail. We have a circular muscles, and also we called them constrictors of the pharynx, with a superior constrictor, the middle constrictor, the inferior constrictor. So we'll discuss in detail these constrictors. And pharyngeal plexus of veins and nerves we'll discuss in detail. And the last is the buccopharyngeal fascia, which covers the constrictor muscles from the outside. So we will discuss all these components in detail. So pharyngeal fascias actually strengthen the pharynx, in which they are separated in two layers. Pharyngeal muscles sandwiched between the pharyngobasilar fascia. The pharyngobasilar fascia forms the posterolateral boundary of the nasopharynx, and it is a tough sheet. It is attached over the pharyngeal tubercle, basi-occiput, and the on the in lateral walls of the pharyngobasilar fascia attached over the petrous part of the temporal bone. So this is by the nasopharynx has a posterolateral boundary which is formed by the pharyngobasilar fascia, and the other rest of the oropharynx and the laryngopharynx has a muscular boundary, because we don't want to collapse the wall of the nasopharynx. So the air enters easily lower down. So that's why we have a tough boundary. We have formed the tough boundary of the nasopharynx. Buccopharyngeal fascia, it covers the constrictor muscles from the outside, and these two fascias reinforces the pharyngeal wall. So we have this is the pharyngobasilar fascia, which is attached over the pharyngeal tubercle, and laterally it is attached to the petrous part of the temporal bone. So this is the pharyngeal fascia, which forms the posterolateral boundary of the nasopharynx, because we don't want to collapse the nasopharynx. That's why we have given the tough boundary to the nasopharynx. And this is the superior constrictor. So superior constrictor. So these all constrictors overlap each other. The superior constrictor overlaps the pharyngobasilar fascia, and this superior constrictor arises from the medial pterygoid plate, the pterygoid humulus, the pterygomandibular raphe. So this is a pterygomandibular raphe or ligament, and from the mylohyoid line of the mandible. So this is a superior constrictor. It actually merges with the pharyngeal raphe in between, where all muscles get absorbed or merged with each other and forms a raphe. And this raphe is also start from the pharyngeal tubercle lower down. So the superior constrictor, which arises from the medial pterygoid plate, from the pterygoid humulus, from the pterygomandibular raphe, from the mylohyoid line, attaches, inserts in the pharyngeal raphe. ठीक है. From the superior constrictor, it overlaps over the pharyngobasilar fascia, and this is the middle constrictor. The middle constrictor arises from the styloid process of the temporal bone. This is a styloid process. So, and this is a stylohyoid ligament, and this is attached to the lesser conio of the hyoid bone. From the middle constrictor arises from the stylohyoid ligament. It arises from the lesser conio. It arises from the greater conio of the hyoid bone. So this is the middle constrictor. And in between the superior constrictor and the middle constrictor, the muscle goes in between these two constrictors. This is called the stylopharyngeus muscle. This stylopharyngeus muscle is supplied by the glossopharyngeus. So this muscle is always with the nerve with it. This is that is the glossopharyngeal nerve, And these two important structures entering between the superior constrictor and the middle constrictor, and this is the inferior constrictor. The inferior constrictor has two parts, and this part, the upper part is called thyropharyngeus, which arises from the oblique line of the thyroid cartilage. This is called thyropharyngeus, which gets its origin from the oblique line of the thyroid cartilage and gets inserted over the pharyngeal raphe. And other part of the inferior constrictor, except this thyropharyngeus, we have a cricopharyngeus, which is from the upper esophageal sphincter. This is the upper esophageal sphincter. This is upper esophageal sphincter. This is called cricopharyngeus, and this cricopharyngeus arises from the lamina of the cricoid cartilage, and this continues with the esophagus, and it cricopharyngeus forms the upper esophageal sphincter for the esophagus. So we have superior constrictor, the middle constrictor. The inferior constrictor has two parts, the thyropharyngeus and the cricopharyngeus. And this is again the anterior wall of the nasopharynx, part of the respiratory tract mucosa, pseudostratified ciliated columnar. It has also a जो है the mucosa is of the nasopharynx is same like nasal cavity, pseudostratified ciliated columnar. And behind the nasal cavity, it is behind the nasal cavity. Nasopharynx in between the roof, it is behind the nasal cavity and on the upper surface of the soft palate. Okay, so this is the nasopharynx behind the nasal cavity, and above and behind the soft palate, above and behind the soft palate. And this is pharyngeal isthmus between the posterior pharyngeal wall and the soft palate. Communicates through the pharyngeal isthmus. So this is pharyngeal isthmus, beta. So whenever the bolus will go downward, so this soft palate contains the palatopharyngeus. It will contract and goes upward, and this salpingopharyngeus muscle, this is another longitudinal muscle which elevates the nasopharynx upward, and this pharyngeal isthmus will come closer to each other, and the soft palate closes the pharyngeal isthmus. How the pharyngeal isthmus is formed? By the soft palate and the posterior pharyngeal wall. So this pharyngeal isthmus is closed during eating. Okay, so and these are the pharyngotympanic tube entering on the lateral wall of the nasopharynx. ठीक है? अच्छा. So the pharyngotympanic tubes actually entering on the lateral wall of the nasopharynx, guarded by the tubal elevation. Salpingopharyngeal fold, I already described. This is the fold of the mucous membrane which covers over the salpingopharyngeus muscle. This is a longitudinal muscle arises from the pharyngotympanic tube. It elevates the nasopharynx at the time of deglutition, and the palatopharyngeus elevates the nasopharynx, and palatopharyngeus actually elevates the soft palate, and it approximate with the posterior pharyngeal wall, and it closes the pharyngeal isthmus. So the salpingopharyngeal fold, posterior margin of the tubal elevation to the side wall of the pharynx downward. Salpingopharyngeus, this is the muscle of the salpingopharyngeus, arises from the pharyngotympanic tube. Behind the salpingopharyngeus, we have a recess. This is a depression behind the salpingopharyngeal fold. This is called the pharyngeal recess. And the nasopharyngeal tonsils, these are the tonsils which are present in the roof of the nasopharynx. These are called the pharyngeal tonsils. When they become enlarged, they form, when they become enlarged, they actually called adenoids, and they actually closes the posterior nares, and they closes the posterior nares, and actually baby snore at the night time and respire through the oral cavity. So these adenoids become enlarged, and it also blocks the pharyngotympanic tube. So patient feels the deafness also along with the adenoids. The patient of adenoids also feels the deafness because of the blockage of the pharyngotympanic tube, and it also actually suffers from the repeated middle ear infections. So this is all because of the adenoids. It actually closes the posterior nares, and that's why the patient snores at night, and it actually respires through the mouth, or in very severe condition it also obstructs the pharyngotympanic tube and develop the deafness in the patient, and the repeated chances of middle ear infection. So the treatment is to remove these enlarged pharyngeal tonsils or adenoids to cure all of these conditions. So this is again the different parts of the pharynx. This is nasopharynx from the behind the nasal cavity, above the soft palate, and this is pharyngeal isthmus. It continues with the oropharynx. At the time of deglutition, the soft palate elevates upward and it approximated towards the pharyngeal wall, and it closes the pharyngeal isthmus. And this is the root of the tongue. It contains the lingual tonsils. These are the palatoglossal folds, and these are the palatopharyngeal folds. In between two folds, we have palatine tonsils, and palatoglossal folds on each side forms the oropharyngeal isthmus or oropharyngeal boundary between the oral cavity and the pharynx. And these palatine tonsils are present in the lateral wall of the oropharynx. From the soft palate up to the epiglottis, we have a oropharynx, and below the epiglottis, this is the laryngopharynx, and this is the laryngeal inlet. At the time of diglottation, this epiglottis closes the inlet, laryngeal inlet, so the bolus over the epiglottis goes into the esophagus. This is the oropharynx. Sorry, this is the oropharynx behind the mouth and the tongue. This is oropharynx, common to both respiratory and digestive systems. Is also common to both systems, the respiratory and the digestive. Oropharyngeal isthmus is formed by the two palatoglossal folds, which is a boundary between the oral cavity and the isthmus. Posterior wall of the oropharynx is smooth. Lateral walls shows the palatine tonsils between the palatoglossal and palatopharyngeal arches. So these are the palatoglossal and these are the palatopharyngeal arches, which actually contain the palatine tonsils in the lateral wall of the pharynx. Laryngopharynx. The laryngopharynx is below the epiglottis, ठीक and upper part common to digestive and respiratory tract. It is also common for the respiratory and digestive tract. The bolus goes downward. If it is air, the epiglottis will open and the air through the laryngeal inlet goes into the trachea. But if it is bolus, the epiglottis closes the laryngeal inlet and the bolus will go downward into the esophagus. Here the soft palate elevates upward, ठीक है, and palatopharyngeus actually जो है it contracts upward the soft palate, and now it is approximated with the posterior pharyngeal wall, and it closes the pharyngeal isthmus. And the salpingopharyngeus muscle, which is arising from the pharyngotympanic tube, also elevates the nasopharynx upward, and palatopharyngeus also elevates the soft palate upward and approximated it with the posterior wall of the pharynx. Now see this the pharyngeal isthmus is closed, and the epiglottis pharyngeal isthmus closed by the soft palate and the posterior pharyngeal wall, and the epiglottis closed the laryngopharynx, and the bolus will not enter nor in the nasopharynx nor in the laryngopharynx, and it directly enters into the esophagus. Behind the larynx, upper part common to the digestive and respiratory tract. Lower part continues with the esophagus. So see this, the lower part continues with the esophagus. Anterior and posterior walls approximated when food is passing. So anterior and posterior wall approximated when the food is passing downward. At the time of when the deglutition is not occur, the two walls of the esophagus, they are collapsed with each other. But at the time of deglutition, the esophagus will open and the bolus will go downward. The laryngopharynx, this is the anterior wall of the laryngopharynx. Posterior wall and side walls are smooth. Obviously, we have these are the lateral walls, side walls, and posterior wall we have cut to show the anterior wall. The anterior wall from above downward represents the epiglottis. So this is an epiglottis. These are array epiglottic folds. These are the array epiglottic folds on each side. These are the arytenoids. These are arytenoids, and these are the corniculate. This is the cuneiform cartilages on both sides. This is the inlet of the larynx. ठीक है. Below the epiglottis we have a laryngeal inlet. So if this inlet takes the air and enters, this air enters into the trachea. Piriform fossas on each side. So we have a piriform fossas on each side. The piriform fossa medially form the epiglottic cord, and laterally it is formed by the thyroid cartilage. So this is a very common site of where the fish bones and fish spines, bones and small bones will start, and they it is not easy to remove the bones from here. So we'll take the patient to the ENT department, and they will remove the bones and spines from here. So this is a, that's why it is a very clinical, have a very clinical importance. Anterior wall from the back. So this is an anterior wall of the back of the larynx. Again, this is a nasopharynx. This is a posterior nares. These are the pharyngotympanic tube opens into the nasopharynx. This is a soft palate from the base of, from the roof of the nasopharynx up to the soft palate. We have a nasopharynx, and from the soft palate we up to the epiglottis we have a oropharynx. In the oropharynx, these are the palatoglossal arches, and these palatoglossal arches form the oropharyngeal stomachs, and these are the palatopharyngeal arches. Sorry, these are the palatopharyngeal arches. So in between the glossal and the pharyngeal arches, we have a palatine tonsils, and this is the root of the tongue. This is the root of the tongue, and this have a lingual tonsils, and this is an epiglottis. So this is a laryngeal inlet. From the soft palate up to the epiglottis, this is oropharynx. From the epiglottis to the this is a laryngeal inlet. Low down from the epiglottis, this is a laryngopharynx. So this is a laryngeal inlet. These are the epiglottic folds. These are the cuneiform. This is corniculate. This is cuneiform. This is our arytenoid cartilage. This bulging is due to the cricoid cartilage, and these bulgings due to the thyroid cartilage, and these are the piriform fosses where the fish bones and small bones get stuck, and this is continuous load down with the esophagus. This epiglottis closes the laryngeal inlet, and bolus from the oral cavity enters into the esophagus. And if the air is there, it passes through the laryngeal inlet and enters into the trachea. Muscles of the pharynx, they actually differ from the other muscles of the GIT. Skeletal muscles, they are skeletal muscles in origin. So we have a circular muscles and we have a longitudinal muscles, and the circular muscles, they are overlapping each other. So again, this is a superior constrictor, arises from the medial pterygoid plate, pterygoid humerus, pterygomandibular raphe, mylohyoid line, and this attaches over the pharyngeal raphe. This is the pharyngobasilar fascia, arises from the pharyngeal tubercle and the petrous part of the tympanic bone, and it forms the posterolateral wall of the nasopharynx, and this is superior constrictor, overlaps the pharyngobasilar fascia, and this is the middle constrictor. Middle constrictor arises from the stylohyoid ligament, and it also arises from the lesser conio and the greater conio of the hyoid bone, and it also goes backward and attached over the pharyngeal raphe. And this is the inferior constrictor. The inferior constrictor has two parts. This is a thyropharyngeus, and this is a cricopharyngeus. The thyropharyngeus arises from the oblique lamina of the thyroid cartilage and get attached over the pharyngeal raphe in between. And this is a cricopharyngeus. Cricopharyngeus also arises from the cricoid cartilage lamina and attached, and it forms a circular ring over the esophagus, and it acts as the upper esophageal sphincter, and this is called cricopharyngeus. So this is same, and now I show the longitudinal muscles. This is a this is salpingopharyngeus muscle lower down. This is salpingopharyngeus. This is palatopharyngeus coming from the posterior surface of the palate downward. This is palatopharyngeus. This elevates the soft palate upward, and it approximated it with the posterior wall of the oropharynx. So this is salpingopharyngeus, and this is palatopharyngeus, and this is stylopharyngeus. Stylopharyngeus comes from the styloid process downward and inserts between the superior and middle constrictor. So this is the stylopharyngeus. These are the three longitudinal muscle, and rest of the circular muscles. So these are the superior constrictor. This is pharyngobasilar fascia. This is superior constrictor. This is the middle constrictor. This is the inferior constrictor. The inferior constrictor has two parts. The thyropharyngeus with oblique lines and the horizontal lines. This is the cricopharyngeus coming from the cricoid lamina of the cricoid cartilage. And in between the thyropharyngeus and cricopharyngeus, we have a Killian's dehiscence. Is a very somewhat weaker space that is called Killian's dehiscence. From here, the pharyngeal pouch will come downward. We'll discuss later. Okay, what is that pouch and what it will do. So this is the buccopharyngeal fascia which covers these constrictors from outside, and this is the Killian's dehiscence, and this is the cricopharyngeus. The superior constrictor attached to the pharyngeal tubercle and lowest fibers reach up to the vocal cord. Middle constrictor arises from the stylohyoid ligament. We have already discussed lesser and greater cornea of the hyoid bone and overlaps superior constrictor and reach up to the level of vocal cords. Inferior constrictor has two parts, the thyropharyngeus and cricopharyngeus. The thyropharyngeus overlaps middle constrictor, and the cricopharyngeus continues with the esophagus and act as a upper esophageal sphincter. So these are the superior constrictor from arises from the inserts over the pharyngeal raphe. These all constrictors insert over the pharyngeal raphe, and the superior constrictor arises from the pterygomandibular raphe, adjacent bone on the mandible like mylohyoid line and pterygoid humulus, and middle constrictor from the upper margin of the greater horn of the hyoid bone, adjacent margins of the lesser horn, and stylohyoid ligament. And inferior constrictor attaches over the pharyngeal raphe, arises from the originate from the cricoid cartilage. The part which arises from the cricoid cartilage is called cricopharyngeus, and the part which arises from the oblique line of the thyroid cartilage is called thyropharyngeus. And the ligament spans between these two attachments and crosses the cricothyroid muscle. So the part which arises from the cricoid cartilage is called cricopharyngeus, and the part of the inferior constrictor which arises from the oblique line of the thyroid cartilage is called thyropharyngeus. Longitudinal muscles, the stylopharyngeus, the salpingopharyngeus, the palatopharyngeus, we have already discussed. They all insert over the posterior border of the thyroid cartilage and help in second stage of deglutition by lifting the pharynx. Stylopharyngeus from the medial side of the styloid process, the salpingopharyngeus, inferior aspects of the pharyngeal end of the pharyngotympanic tube, we have already discussed, I showed you. The palatopharyngeus from upper surface of the palatine aponeurosis. So some structures are present between the pharyngeal constrictors from the between the base of the skull, yani pharyngobasilar fascia, and between the superior constrictor on the in the lateral wall of the pharyngobasilar fascia enters the pharyngotympanic tube, and the tensor vela platini and the lateral vela palatini also inserts between the pharyngobasilar fascia and the superior constrictor. And in between the superior constrictor and the middle constrictor, the stylopharyngeus and the glossopharyngeal nerve will enter. ये मैं आपको दिखा चुकी हूँ. The middle constrictor and inferior constrictor, in between the middle constrictor and inferior constrictor, the superior laryngeal nerve and vessels will enter. ठीक है? So this is the side, this is the middle constrictor, and this is the inferior constrictor. This is thyropharyngeus. Here, internal laryngeal nerve and vessels will enter. So this is stylopharyngeus along with the glossopharyngeal nerve between the superior constrictor and the middle constrictor. This is the stylopharyngeus along with the glossopharyngeal nerve. And here the internal laryngeal nerve and vessels will enter between the middle constrictor and the thyropharyngeus, inferior constrictor, and the lower between the lower part of the cricopharyngeus and the esophagus. the recurrent laryngeal nerve and vessels will enter. So between the inferior constrictor and esophagus, the recurrent laryngeal nerve and inferior laryngeal vessels will enter. So these are the structures enter between the constrictors. So this is the between the pharyngobasilar fascia and superior constrictor. In the lateral wall, the auditory tubes are entering. This is levator ani. This is palatine artery. In between the superior constrictor and middle constrictor, this is the stylopharyngeus muscle, and this is the stylopharyngeus muscle, and this is glossopharyngeal nerve is entering. And between the middle and between the middle constrictor and the inferior constrictor, we have internal laryngeal nerve and superior laryngeal vessels. So this is middle and the inferior constrictor, and between the and lower down below the inferior constrictor, we have a recurrent laryngeal nerve and internal laryngeal vessels. So these structures are very important. So we have different tonsils. We have discussed many times, but pharyngeal tonsils called adenoids. I have already discussed midline on the roof of the nose, nasopharynx, palatine tonsils on each side of the oropharynx between the palatoglossal and palatopharyngeal arches, and the lingual tonsils posterior one-third of the tongue, and the tubal tonsil pharyngotympanic tube near its opening in the nasopharynx and on the upper surface of the soft palate. So this is the Valdez ring. This is pharyngeal tonsils in the roof of the nasopharynx. It is called adenoid. If it is enlarged, it closes the posterior nares and it causes the snoring at night, and the patients actually respire through the oral cavity. And and these are the tubal tonsils present at the opening of the pharyngotympanic tube. So these three tonsils, two tubal and the pharyngeal tonsil, actually secures the nasal cavity. Whatever the air will go enter inside the nose, it will cleanse it from the bacteria and different germs, from the different germs. And these are the palatine tonsils, which is present between the palatoglossal and palatopharyngeal arches and present in the lateral wall of the oropharynx. This is the lingual tonsils present in the root of the tongue. So these three tonsils actually secures the oral cavity, opening of the oral cavity, and actually whatever goes through the oral cavity, either it is air or the bolus, it actually cleans the germs through these tonsils. So this actually form a ring around the nasal and oral cavity. These all tonsils form a ring, and this ring is called Valdez ring, which actually protect the person from different kinds of germs and different kinds of diseases, and it actually secures the oral openings of the oral and nasal cavity. So these are the palatoglossal arches, forms the oropharyngeal isthmus. This form a boundary between this is tongue, this oral cavity, and the pharynx. These palatoglossal arches form a boundary between the oral cavity. This is a tongue. These are the teeth. So this form a boundary between the oral cavity and the pharynx. These are the enlarged palatine tonsils. So the pharynx is supplied by the ascending pharyngeal artery, which is the branch of the external carotid artery. So ascending pharyngeal artery, this is the medial branch of the external carotid artery, and it supplies the pharynx and pharyngeal constrictors. And the other arteries like ascending palatine and tonsillar, this is the facial artery, and it has a tonsillar branch and ascending palatine, which actually supplies the pharynx. And these are the branches of the facial artery and the maxillary artery. So this is the maxillary artery, and the lingual artery. So this is the lingual artery. So the lingual artery, the branches of the facial artery and the ascending pharyngeal artery combine to supply the pharynx. Pharynx actually drain into the pharyngeal plexus, actually drain into the pterygoid plexus. So that is drain into the superiorly, the pharynx drain into the pterygoid plexus, and these pterygoid venous plexus is connected with the emissary veins of the cavernous sinus. So अभी मैंने आपको बताया, and inferiorly it drains into the facial and or into the internal jugular vein. Inferiorly, it is drains into the internal jugular vein, and superiorly, it is drained into the pterygoid venous plexus. And regarding to the lymphatic drainage, the it actually drains into the deep cervical nodes. The indirectly, uh, first it drains into the retropharyngeal nodes and then into the deep cervical nodes. But directly, it also drains directly into the deep cervical nodes or indirectly through the retropharyngeal nodes. So the inflammation on the tonsils is called tonsillitis. These are the large enlarged tonsils along with the pus, and quinsy is a pus in the peritonsillar area around the connective tissue, which is around the tonsils, that gets the inflammation and then gets the pus around the tonsils. So this is called quinsy. ठीक है. Pyriform fossa is actually this is a I already showed you pyriform fossa in the anterior wall of the laryngopharynx. It is behind the laryngeal. It is actually on each side of the laryngopharynx, and where it is a common site where the foreign bodies will stuck like small bones and fish spines, and creates an emergency, and patient will take into the ENT department. They will remove through the endoscope. The pharyngeal pouch. This is a weakening between the thoropharyngeus and the cricopharyngeus. The pouch, which is formed by the mucosa and submucosa, will come downward through the increased pharyngeal pressure, and it causes the and this is filled with the food particles, and it actually uh, uh, provides the pressure over the esophagus and causes the dysphagia. So this is the trachea, this is the esophagus, and this is the pharyngeal pouch, which is formed by the mucosa and submucosa. It actually come through the physiologically weak space between the thoropharyngeus and cricopharyngeus, which will come downward, and it provides the pressure over the esophagus and produces the dysphagia. And the cervical tuberculosis, osteomyelitis, and the pharynx. So whenever this tuberculosis occur over this in the cervical spine, so this is the prevertebral fascia, and this is the posterior pharyngeal wall. So the abscess from the spines will trickle over the prevertebral fascia behind the posterior pharyngeal wall, and it enters in the posterior triangle of the neck, and sometimes it bursts out, sometimes it go downward into superior and posterior mediastinum. So this is the trachea, this is the esophagus. These are the carotid sheets, contains the structures of the carotid sheet, and these are the posterior structures. So this is the vertebra, and this is the prevertebral fascia, and this pus will um, this is the retropharyngeal space. This pus will come downward through the pharyngeal wall and between the prevertebral fascia and the pharyngeal wall, and it goes downward into the posterior triangle of the neck. And sometimes it runs along the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid, and sometimes it will burst out, and sometimes it enters into the superior and posterior mediastinum. So this is due to the cervical tuberculosis and osteomyelitis. And thank you so much.